With vSphere, we pretty much passed the portability test. We got the same performance, same latency, and still utilized just 2 CPU cores to saturate the NVMe. And it's all great. The question Howard had in the beginning, where's the initiator? Show me the initiator. We have it. It uses the same trick. It brings the missing functionality into Windows by virtualizing it. In this case, we will map a Mellanox NIC, pass it through to the virtual machine where we have Linux and NVMe over Fabrics initiator, and our shared memory exchange module that allows us to map memory directly to the host operating system. And there we have a stub driver, or we also call it storage driver, that then will present it as a block device. This approach also exposed several interesting benefits. First one is performance, because otherwise we just couldn't get the proper performance out of Windows. Second thing is portability. 90% of the code runs in this virtual machine. So in order to port this to vSphere or KVM, well, KVM doesn't really need this at this point. We just need to finish the stub driver, and we'll add vSphere support for that. And another interesting thing is stability, because
so the stub driver presents itself as an NVMe device?
Yeah, and then it works with the shared memory area, and then this goes into the virtual machine running the initiator.
Okay, and the stub driver presents a multi-namespace SSD emulation?
Anton, I'll need your help with this one, because you're the guy working with the driver.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the stub driver presents to the host operating system like it's a multi-namespace NVMe SSD?
At this point, it's just kind of like, I don't know, like think about this like a teleport. So we are taking NVMe card from one machine, and we're using our DMA network to bring it to the other machine. This is just one-to-one mapping. And Max will touch, and we'll be talking about the use cases, like who's Mr. Customer for that. He'll talk why we are doing this exactly case, and why we are not changing any kind of the, why we're not like doing no erasure coding, no RAID at this point at the target. And why it's just one-to-one mapping at this point.
Because technically we can, in the same virtual machine on the initiator side, we can implement that functionality and just bring it to the initiator. But I wanted to tell about
if there's an NVMe fabric initiator sitting in vSphere or Hyper-V, how do other VMs in that environment talk to that initiator to perform I/O?
So those will have to go to the block device, and then you put NVMFS on top of that block device. I mean, we could technically map it directly to the virtual machine if necessary, but if we want it to be shared.
So you effectively are managing a VMFS effectively but in fact, and behind it is the NVMe
No,
device.
so it goes on here on top.
Right,
so
right.
we act lower than the VMFS or NTFS or ReFS if someone's using it. I wanted to tell about the stability benefit, because you know that if something happens to an iSCSI connection in vSphere or in Microsoft, they don't really like when the storage is suddenly going away or storage driver fails. In case of Microsoft, Microsoft is going to be the blue screen. In case of VMware, well,
it's a purple one.
Blue.
Purple. Responses like in version 4, all sorts of things. If we virtualize this, if something happens to the code in this virtual machine, we simply restart it, and the host doesn't know. The host is unaffected. So the host continues running the applications, and in case of a cluster, it will just use a different path to the storage to access the NVMe storage. It will not do a blue screen or a purple screen. So right now we're finalizing the stub driver for Microsoft Windows Server. And our next step is to do the same thing with vSphere. We're already working on a vSphere storage driver. This one takes more bureaucracy than we thought, but we're getting there, and it's a lot of exciting functionality. So my idea is that if there is another storage field day this year, maybe we'll showcase the initiators later this year, or spring in California is also great.
Okay.
We could go to, we could come to show it in spring as well.